South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers, and Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Football Thursday. Sounds a little weird, but guess what? We are back on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. We have a ton of football to get to. Also, Sixers back in action tonight. We got a lot to cover in an hour here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Matt Black Kia Studios. Yes, I am Josh Hennig, hanging out with you. Of course, NFL Week 17 is this weekend. We will dig deeper into it coming up with Andy McNamara from Sportsnet. Will join us to preview the full slate. I know a lot of you guys out there, maybe you're someone who's in your fantasy football playoffs. Maybe you're someone like me, for example, who's playing for third place. So you don't have to pay out your league fee. That's how it goes in my fantasy league, or whatever your reasons are. Maybe you want to throw some shekels down on the game this weekend. Maybe you want to do whatever's going on. We got your full NFL preview today with Andy McNamara. Plus, I'll give you my picks and thoughts for what's going on. And by the way, if you guys listen to me on Tuesdays when I'm filling in for Mike Gill, I told you guys, take South Carolina. Boy, I didn't think South Carolina was going to win, but I felt 9.5, 10 was way too much. And man, that was a straight winner. Had a couple winners already this week, so we'll give you some of those coming up a little bit later. Thanks to our friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Italian Casino in Atlantic City. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. You can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And we are live, as always, on YouTube at 973 ESPN. We'll get to the latest Eagles news in just a bit, but and also we got a little Sixers news I want to bring to you guys because the Sixers are coming up top of the hour. A doubleheader tonight of Sixers and Flyers here on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers at 7 versus the Nets. 10:30 tonight. The Flyers are in San Jose to take on the Sharks. So I'll get you the Sixers news in just a bit as well. But I just wanted to open the show saying it feels good to have the college bowls, with some of the games being canceled, NFL games being postponed the last couple of weeks. We've had a lot of stuff we've been kind of working through, all of us out there. And, the last couple days, honestly, was the first time that I legitimately felt like the sports calendar was getting back to normal this week. And I understand for some people out there, we had the conversation on Tuesday on the Sports Bash. We discussed some of the COVID stuff and everything, but, I'm sitting there, and on Tuesday we had Houston and Auburn, and we had Air Force in Louisville. And then yesterday we had Oklahoma, another game that we gave out, going out there and just running away from Oregon. And I mean, the Maryland game, I didn't expect Maryland to beat them 54-10. I mean, that was ridiculous. Today you got this Tennessee-Purdue game. This game is nuts. 31-30 right now in the third quarter. Injury on the field, timeout. But there's just so much going on. And I think that one of the most important things that we can do today, the day before New Year's Eve, and that we can all do this weekend is be thankful, because this sports year has been a roller coaster ride. 2020 was a lot of doom and gloom. And coming into 2021, there was some uncertainty about how things would play out. And I feel like that overall, between seeing what's happened at the professional level with pretty much everything finding a way to work and make happen, and then seeing high school sports this academic year, high school football season, we have the article at 97.3 ESPN.com, the top 10 high school football highlights of the year. Millville winning another state championship, and the success of Cedar Creek with J.C. Landicini and Jojo Bermudez, and just looking around all the sports, the high school, college, and the professional levels. I just feel like I'm grateful. I'm thankful to be where we are. I'm grateful for the year we've had. I'm so thankful to the sponsors we have, like Matt Black Kia sponsoring the Matt Black Kia Studios. I'm thankful for, FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Atlantic City for sponsoring us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. And I'm thankful for all of you guys out there who listen to 97.3 ESPN, who tune in to Game Night each night after Mike Gill, who hang with me to the end. I've met a lot of cool people in the last couple of years because I've been on the air more, and they recognize my voice and my face more, obviously in part because of the YouTube channel at 973 ESPN. But I'm just grateful, and I'm thankful to be here, and I just wanted to kind of open the show and kind of express that because, I'm at the gym talking with people last night. We have the game on in the gym usually when I'm there, and, it's just one of those things where I just kind of looked around at everything and just, despite how crazy things have been this month, I just think it's the time to, be thankful that 2021 honestly could have been worse. We saw that in 2020, and I think 2022 is going to be a much better year for all of us. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, the Matt Black Kia Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Matt Black Kia, they will get you approved today. Matt Black Kia on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. Visit them online at mattblackkia.com. All right, let's get to the news and notes here. Couple things to hit on. First of all, the Eagles injury report is pretty limited. I encourage all of you to keep it tuned to 97.3 ESPN.com and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app tomorrow because I don't really know if we're going to have any answers until tomorrow. Maybe even then, who knows how vague or how things are going to go. But the latest injury report today is expected. Miles Sanders, he's not playing this week. We already knew that. Pretty much everyone was a full participant at practice except for Jordan Howard. Now, I want to state that Nick Sirianni has been very consistent in his cautiousness all week. I've written about it at 97.3 ESPN.com that, Sirianni has used words like hopeful, right? He hasn't been very, committal. He hasn't been very straightforward. He hasn't been very demonstrative when it comes to Jordan Howard's status and availability. Sirianni, yesterday at the press conference, he said, look, Jordan Howard's working. Obviously, we're aware it happened 2 years ago, but he's working like crazy to get back and get himself ready to go. At no point in Sirianni's conversation with the media yesterday was he like, hey, he's good to go. And the Eagles are getting guys off the COVID list. Offensive line is going to be realigned with backups, so Raven Clark and Andre Dillard, which is important. You're going to have Teron Jackson and Ryan Kerrigan, it looks like, available this week. You brought in Kerryon Johnson to fill the void in case Jordan Howard can't go. Even if Jordan Howard is able to go, how many snaps does he really get? So we won't really know for sure. But here's what I do know for sure. And I can promise you all this. If Nick Sirianni and the Eagles get too pass happy, they are going to lose this game in Washington. And here's why. The Philadelphia Eagles are a run-first team now. They run the ball to allow them to pass. They have a dominant offensive line. The combination of Dickerson and Mailata has been a dream to watch. These two physical freaks who are arguably some of the most physically gifted offensive linemen I have ever seen. All right. And that's saying something considering the fact that this city has had guys like Jason Peters and Trey Thomas and some phenomenal guys come through here. I think Todd Herman was a very underrated offensive lineman in Philadelphia. But I think Mailata and Dickerson, that combination is just incredible. You got to run behind those guys. You got to let these offensive linemen assert their aggression on the Washington football team defense. Look, you saw what happened on Sunday Night Football. Alabama teammates, Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, getting into a fight on the sidelines. Matt Ioannidis having to separate them. Those are three of the top 20 D linemen in the NFL all on one team. If you want to have a hope of winning this game, Eagles, Sirianni, Steichen, Padula, all of your coaching staff, Brian Johnson, listen up. You got to run the ball. You got to let Mailata and Dickerson and Lane Johnson and Jason Kelsey and that whole offensive line together just assert their will on Washington. Because if you let Washington start teeing off on that offensive line, it's going to be a long day at the office. It's going to be a long night or day for Philadelphia, I should say, because Philadelphia's game is in the afternoon. You hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call. I'm telling you, you got to let these offensive linemen go get some. Because if you could put Washington back on their heels, the Eagles' offensive line is better than the Cowboys, in my opinion. And the Cowboys showed you on Sunday Football that you can push Washington's team around. The Eagles showed offensively that they can make Washington's defense on their heels consistently, can put them there. So you got to run the ball. That's the one key to the game. I promise you, everyone listening to the sound of my voice on 97.3 ESPN FM, on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City, live here on YouTube at 973 ESPN. I'm telling all of you out there right now, if the Eagles run the ball, they will win this game. You don't have to run for 4 or 5 yards every snap, but you got to let your O-linemen assert their will on the Washington defense. Because if they do, you're going to be in a position to win the game because you're going to convert short third downs. You're going to be in a position to wear them out. You're going to be in a position when the third and fourth quarter come around to just take their will and flush it. Flush it and be done with it. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers news. Sixers play the Brooklyn Nets tonight, 7 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Tom McGinnis on the call at the top of the hour. Shake Milton, by the way, has cleared COVID protocols and will play tonight. So he will be on the court. The Sixers have a shortage of coaches, though. Doc Rivers, Sam Cassell, and Brian Adams are all in the COVID protocols. So you're going to be without 3 coaches tonight. The Sixers are going against the Nets team, by the way, that at least the expectation is that they're going to have several of their guys back, including Durant. Obviously, no Kyrie, because Kyrie can't play at home, and that whole situation in New York and his vaccination status and New York's rules. But I would like everybody to watch tonight how this game plays out, because I think the Sixers and the Nets are not as far apart as people would like you to believe. In my opinion, I think the Sixers are a player away from being able to go head-to-head with a team like the Nets. Because the problem with the Nets is that, and you'll see it tonight, after Durant and Harden, it gets thin. Blake Griffin has moments. LaMarcus Aldridge has moments on the floor. Joe Harris, he's a guy who stretches the floor. He hasn't been around for a while. Patty Mills is a streaky player, even though he's having one of the better years of his career. Don't overlook the fact that statistically, the Sixers are almost the same exact defense as the Nets. And offensively, they're just missing one guy. And I'm not saying that guy is Ben Simmons. But I will watch this game very closely, because if I'm the Sixers front office, this is a great game to gauge what my roster is at this point in time. Because as I've said numerous times, the Sixers need to make a trade before the deadline. They got to find a way to move Simmons to improve this roster, because the roster as currently constructed is not getting out of the second round. But if they get on a piece, they get on a player, they can be there with the Brooklyns and the Milwaukees and even a team like Miami and all these other teams in the East. But right now, it's Joel Embiid, and the next guy is Tobias and Tyrese. Tyrese is still young, and Tobias is at best an all-star. Watch this game tonight and see how it works out. You hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. tonight. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, being brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Hotel Casino in Atlantic City. Bet all the action and style all season long, football, basketball, and more at the state-of-the-art FanDuel Sportsbook just off the boardwalk at Bally's, Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. NFL Week 17 preview, breaking it all down with Sportsnet's Andy McNamara next here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. And we are live on YouTube at 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night.
This is the College Football Playoff Semifinal. Alabama-Cincinnati in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, followed by Michigan-Georgia in the Capital One Orange Bowl.
Let's go! Welcome to the show! Let's go!
The College Football Playoff. It's College Bowl season on 97.3 ESPN.
Brought to you by Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Pick up your Screwball for the holidays at Joe Canals on the Blackbird Pike in Belmar and 2nd Street in Millville.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
$10,000 minimum for your trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Bennett Chevy will pay you $10,000 for your vehicle, no matter its condition or miles. This is our very best offer of the year. No games, no gimmicks, just $10,000 minimum for your trade this month. Plus, Bennett selling new vehicles at MSRP, not one penny more. Stuck in a lease? We can get you out early. Every make, every model. There's absolutely no obligation and no pressure because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Let's recap. Bennett's selling new vehicles at MSRP, not 1 cent over. Looking for pre-owned? Bennett's giving you a minimum 10 grand for yours. That's a minimum $10,000 for junk. You can only imagine how much more we'll pay for a good quality trade. And there's absolutely no obligation and no sales pressure. With our non-commissioned sales staff paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night live in the Matt Black Kia Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. NFL Week 17 this weekend. Fantasy football championships for a lot of you guys out there. All that and more. Of course, no Thursday night football, so you have to worry about Thursday night starters. You just wait till the weekend. Wait till Sunday and Monday. You got your weekend cleared when it comes to all of that. And of course, every Thursday we talk about it with Sportsnet's Andy McNamara here on 97.3, being brought to you by Jim Malamet at Green Tree Mortgage. Your best play to refinance today. That's Jim Malamet at Green Tree Mortgage, sponsors of Thursday's Fantasy Football Talk with Andy McNamara here on 97.3 ESPN, on YouTube and Twitter at 973 ESPN. There, Andy is live in living color. I guess they call it that still. Andy, how you doing?
Yeah. Josh, I'm doing good, my man. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I got for those watching on the stream, I got my nice ugly Christmas sweater and my cardigan. So I'm feeling pretty good, nice and festive.
Are you going to have a hot toddy later tonight? Is that what you're doing here?
Well, yeah, you know what? It'll be the hot tub, but probably just the whiskey part of it. You don't need to get that boiling water. Just the toddy. Is that the toddy part? Just the toddy.
All right.
Probably.
Well, not to go too down the rabbit hole here, but we'll get to the football here. First of all, and we got some people already texting in at 609-403-0970 looking for fantasy advice. But before I get to the specifics, Andy, just give the audience, set the stage, because this is a weird weekend. This is the first time we're going to have an 18th week. So a lot of people, the 17th week is usually not your fantasy championship. So it's a little bit of a different dynamic. Some teams are sort of fighting for the playoffs. Some teams have Sam Ellinger starting at quarterback. So, just paint the big picture for everyone this weekend.
For this weekend, this is your fantasy football championships, right? And if it's next week, fire your commissioner for next year. But this is your championship weekend. You can also play and this is the great thing with the DFS contest side. You can still play even if you're out. You can still get your fix. But my advice for this week is, because I'm getting a lot of tweets and texts myself, Josh, is don't overthink this. Stick with your stars, okay? I know it's tempting to get cute, and you're in the championship, and you're wringing your hands, you're going over every move, every micro decision 10 times, and thinking, what if the upside might be that I should bench Travis Kelce for some. No, have your stars play. I would much rather die on the hill of having my star not have a good game than get cute and try for some home run hit where you don't need to. So play your stars, stay calm and composed, and go get that chip.
Over on the text board at 609-403-0973, Joey D. in Ventnor says, help, I'm in the championship, but I lost Chris Godwin. Half-point PPR, I need one for the flex and 2 wide receivers of this group. So he's really trying to get his money out of you here, Andy. You ready for the names here?
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
Chase Edmonds, Ronald Jones, Elijah Moore, Russell Gage, Jacoby Myers, Rashard Perryman, Zay Jones. And he needs 2 receivers and a flex out of that group.
Oh boy. Okay. So we're cutting Zay Jones right away.
Thank you.
We're going to get rid of him. We're probably going to get rid of Perryman. I've loved Russell Gage all year long. I do. So I need 2 receivers and a flex, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I like the Gage play for sure. We're going to get him in. Give me the first few names again.
You have Chase Edmonds, Ronald Jones.
Okay, Jones. We're doing
Elijah
Jones.
Moore.
Okay.
Russell Gage.
Okay.
Jacoby Myers.
No.
Rashard Perryman?
I'd say we're going Jones. We're going with Gage. And then, I know no Perryman. He was a star like a couple years ago in that Tampa Bay offense, but I don't love it at all.
He's
so
I'm going to boomer bust guy, isn't he?
He's way too much. And I think you just got to track the health of Elijah Moore. Like if Moore is going to play, I know he's been questionable all week. Track that. If he's in, I know Trey Lance is in too. That's dicey, right? Because Trey could run all day. But again, I think you stick with who your stars are. It might not work out, but I'd rather go on that hill with Elijah Moore. So I think Moore is the other play if he is healthy and going to play at full capacity.
Yeah, I mean, and folks, you can text in as well, 609-403-0973. DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app, or you can drop a message if you're watching on YouTube. Andy will answer your questions. He's always been very kind to do that over the years. But Andy, big picture, I think part of the thing is that what you mentioned before is that you got to ride the horses that got you here.
Yeah.
And, part of the problem for a lot of people right now is if you made it this far and you're a guy who has maybe, like, for example, Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, how are you handling that? Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe as your quarterback, he's not going to play, for example. Are you someone who says ride or die with Lamar? Do you look at Trey Lance and say, do I slide him in against the Texans? Are you going hunting on the wire for maybe flip a coin with Tua? What are you doing in this situation?
Yeah, this is a great question, Josh. And I find myself in a little bit of a similar situation. I'm in the championship of one of my leagues. And actually, quick story, I got in. So check out my week here, okay? I had James Robinson, who I was very excited about. Sure. One fantasy point later, his Achilles explodes. I also have Matt Stafford as my quarterback, who has the worst game as an LA Ram, 3 interceptions. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not watching this Monday night garbage. My scenario was I needed the Miami defense to have the best unit day of its life and Alvin Kamara get less than 10 points. Well, by God, it happened. It happened. I got 25 points and I'm in the championship. Sometimes you get a little bit of luck. In this case, I think when you're looking at quarterback, I love the Trey Lance play. Look, any guy who's new, we saw it with Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, right? Guys who even are coming in and maybe not that experienced before, if you got legs, you can get fantasy points. Look at Huntley for the Ravens before too, right? Tyler Huntley. That dude came and got 35 fantasy points with his legs. I think the plays this week, and I'm going to personally, I am very close to going Taysom Hill over Matthew Stafford this week. I don't know if I can trust Stafford. So in that type of situation, I think Taysom Hill. I think depends if Huntley, if Lamar plays, then no. But Tyler Huntley, I think, is a play. He's been sharp with his legs. And then, Taysom Hill and Trey Lance. Like those are those ceiling plays. Do you want a more stable force? Of course. But if you don't, I would much rather chance having a guy who could rush around than the statue that is Matthew Stafford, where I know if Matthew Stafford doesn't throw 3 touchdowns and no picks, I'm getting nothing else from him. So that's the scenario you got to think of. Can they get you those extras with their legs?
Yeah. So basically, to recount this for everyone, basically no Jimmy G this week. That's what it looks like it's going to be. Lamar, he's practicing, but he's limited at practice. He doesn't look great. So apparently, we know Carson Wentz is probably not playing. There's a very, very, very outside chance that he could maybe squeeze in. But Frank Reich has already came out and said that Sam Ellinger, we're playing Sam Ellinger to be our starter, right? So, quarterback situation right now for a lot of people is dicey. So that's why I wanted to get into that with you.
Yeah.
You just a follow up on that because of all the guys I named. There's another guy to keep in mind as well. Kirk Cousins has been completely inconsistent this year. Jalen Hurts, for as many boom games he has had, he has a couple of bust games fantasy wise.
Yep.
He's winning games for the Eagles, but he might be winning your fantasy league right now. So there's a lot of variables going around where to the point where you even got to look at Brady and maybe say,
Right. No, you're so right. It is. And it's weird too, because it's not just the quarterback performance singular. It's what are the pieces around him? Has the team been decimated by COVID and or injuries and the quarterback doesn't have any pieces? Is it just poor play? What about the running game? Is that compliment still there? There are so many pieces to have to track to this. So that's why outside of those few exceptions, like for example, for your Tom Brady example, if I had Tom Brady on my team, I will if I lose because Tom Brady gets me 9 points, so be it. I'd much rather go out that way. But for those other cases, that's where you track like, okay, do I like a Baltimore quarterback versus the Rams defense? I don't. But if Huntley's coming in and Lamar Jackson's not going to play, well, he throws just as poorly as Lamar, and he's going to have to run. And he's healthy. And Jadeveon Clowney, when they played the Browns, said he was faster than Lamar Jackson. So that's another thing you want to look at. I don't care about the final result. Can this guy scramble around and get me enough points? And guys like Huntley, Taysom Hill, and Trey Lance, I think, can.
Andy McNamara joining us here on GameNight on 97.3 ESPN. You can follow him on Twitter at AndyMC81. Of course, NFL Week 17, Sunday and Monday. No Thursday games, no Saturday games. So don't sweat the details. Enjoy your New Year's. Be responsible. And you can focus on Sunday, Monday. Now,
have your hot toddies. Yeah.
Have your hot toddies. Again, be responsible. Apparently, so here in New Jersey, Andy, apparently this has been a week high for car accidents in New Jersey this week.
Oh.
So that's what I'm saying. People, be careful out there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lady, she just died. She was a nurse at the hospital in this area. She hit a deer, then careened across the highway and got smashed by a couple other cars, and she died.
Oh.
So there's, things are a little weird right now. So I'm just warning people. I'm seeing more foxes on my way home than ever before in my life, driving home. So it's a weird time out there. But back to the football. Antonio Brown, whether you like him or dislike him, he has fantasy value. The question is how much value, because limited practice yesterday, DNP today, they're calling it an ankle. If you're going into this weekend, are you trusting AB with maybe your wide receiver 2, your 3, or your flex?
I think without Godwin in the conversation, I am. Providing that ankle, that lower body issue isn't something that is taking us up till Sunday. Like if we're entering Sunday morning and they're saying game time decision, a guy who uses that type of speed and needs the volume from Tom Brady that Brady will gladly provide him, then I start getting a little bit concerned. Then maybe I start looking back to an Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions who's going to have Jared Goff. We talked about St. Brown last week, Josh, and then I think the next day Goff got COVID or something.
Right.
Total hose job. Terrible. But now he's back. So that's an example where I would try to see, all right, if I have Antonio Brown, what's my plan B? Especially at this time of year with all the COVID. If you can have a plan B, it's not going to be necessarily a great one, but somebody serviceable. Look at volume. Look at depth chart. Where are they in the pecking order for the quarterback? How far does the QB have to go through their progressions before they get to your guy? That's what you got to track if you have somebody like an Antonio Brown who may or may not. But Josh, if he's healthy-ish and good enough to go, Brady's going to feed him the ball 7 to 10 times. We know that.
He's not a fantasy name, but he's important, and that is Andrew Whitworth. He is going to be back this Sunday. We saw Matthew Stafford throw 3 interceptions last week. Now, I know they weren't all because of the offensive line, but you have to think your best O-lineman's not there. The clock in your head might be a little faster for a quarterback. Are you looking at the Rams offense and saying, I have more confidence in them this week with Whitworth coming back?
Boy, I hope so. It's really tricky because, like you said, how much is it where Whitworth being back helps compared to situations of, well, they're just in some sort of funk. It's certainly a bonus, of course. I don't think it affects Cooper Kupp. The quarterback, I wouldn't necessarily overestimate it, but at the same point, I'm looking at it and thinking it should not scare you away from playing. Obviously not Cooper Kupp. I would still feel good going Van Jefferson. Tyler Higbee is. Let's talk Tyler Higbee for a sec here, Josh. This is one of the most frustrating fantasy tight ends because he's always on the field. He's always on the field. You look at his snap count. He's on it like 90%, like almost the whole game all the time. And he just doesn't get enough volume because there's so many weapons. Now, the other wild card with the Rams and Whitworth being back maybe helps solidify this as well. Well, all of a sudden, we got Sony Michel, but look, Cam Akers is here off of the Achilles. What does that mean? That's a real loop. He was a fantasy savior a year ago, but we're talking Achilles. We're talking a guy who's going to be want to ease back in and be ready for the playoffs. I don't like Cam Akers as a play, but the question becomes, where do we look at Sony Michel in comparison to that for a snap count? So I would lower my expectations a bit for a Sony Michel day. If you can, I wouldn't play Cam Akers. Like Cam Akers would be more of a DraftKings play when we go through, the playoffs and daily and stuff like that. But I would say Sony Michel, who could have RB1 numbers with Akers getting some work in, maybe I downgrade him a bit.
When you think about also another team with a good offense, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's pretty much without confirming it, he's pretty much not going to play this week. Darrell Williams, are you riding with him or not?
This is a difficult situation here because Williams has shown he can be a standalone guy. He hasn't been able to do it at a consistent level. Is that all his fault? I don't think so. It's a pass-heavy offense. I would say in this case, for this week, if CEH does not go, then yes, you do go with Darrell Williams. And this all depends, of course, on your choices. What are your other options? And again, what do we always say on the show, Josh? Opportunity equals success in fantasy football. Who's getting the opportunity? Would I rather a Darrell Williams over Cam Akers this week? Well, yeah, because I think he's going to get more touches. So maybe the overall upside isn't as great, but I know he's going to get a lot of looks. Well, a lot by Kansas City standpoint. So I would, but that's a case where I'm looking at him more as a back-end RB2 flex type of guy. Do I want him in my lineup? Yes. Is he a top choice? No. He's certainly serviceable. So it's one of those I wouldn't get super excited if he's in my lineup, but there are far worse choices as well.
Also looking around the league right now, obviously we're seeing situations, for example, in Denver. Maybe Drew Lock's going to play. Teddy Bridgewater's in the concussion protocol. You go to Chicago. Andy Dalton practiced today, even though Nick Foles looked pretty good in that offense. Not too bad last week.
Yeah.
Justin Fields limited at practice this week. Another quarterback thing to keep an eye on. Are you looking at those teams and saying, you know what, just stay away from the position players, or do you try to cross your fingers and hope for the best?
Yeah, unfortunately, and let's start with the Broncos. So much wide receiver talent. It's begging to be a fantasy gold mine, but the quarterback play just isn't there, especially with Drew Lock. Like, that's done. I don't know what Denver's going to do. Those rumors. What was it, draft night when we were doing the show? You're on 97.3, right, Josh? Wasn't it we were like two picks into the first round, and it's like Aaron Rodgers is going to go to Denver, and people freaking out or whatever it was.
Yes.
Maybe he ends up there. You need an upgrade, because if the Denver Broncos get some sort of even moderate upgrade at quarterback, you unleash Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy. You got a whole slew. Unfortunately, that doesn't do us any good right now because you can't use any of those guys. I had Jerry Jeudy on my bench the whole year. I couldn't put him in. He was getting me 9 fantasy points if I did. So I don't love any of those position players with the quarterback. I only like the running backs with the Broncos. So that's a case where I don't like it at all. And then in Chicago, it's kind of the same thing. Like, if I'm stuck at tight end, do I put Cole Kmet in? Yeah. Is Jimmy Graham going to steal a touchdown? Probably, with his one catch. So that's another case. Like, Darnell Mooney's been way too up and down after a nice little ride. So I think in those two cases, I'm looking at the running backs as the plays and trying to stay clear of the receivers.
All right, Andy, before I let you go, let's have a little fun here. All right. So they announced the finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class this year. And I am going to pop it on the screen so everybody watching and you can get a look at this so we can, do our picks. All right.
Excellent. I haven't seen this yet, actually.
All right. So here are your finalists. They just announced on NFL Network. Your finalists for the 2022 class. And the way it works, for those who don't know, and I've had Gary Myers on here a few times, and he has broken this all down for us here on 97.3 ESPN. He has explained that the voting process is somebody goes into the room and gives the case for each guy. Then they vote. So this is not like baseball where they all have ballots and they send them in. It's a complete different process. So you got to pick 6, Andy, from this group. The group is Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Rondé Barber, Tony Baselli, Leroy Butler, Devin Hester, Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Sam Mills, Richard Seymour, Zach Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, Reggie Wayne, Patrick Willis, and Bryant Young. Andy, you only can vote for 6. That's the rules.
Okay. I'm going. Let's do DeMarcus Ware. I think is easy. I'm putting DeMarcus Ware in. He's getting in for sure. I'm going to put Rondé Barber in. That's 2. I'm going to get Patrick Willis in. That's 3.
Well, that's a lot of defense going so far here.
It's a lot of defense, which probably means it won't happen. But if I'm looking at it, that's how. Because I know they try to balance it out too, right? They don't want all defense. But if I'm just looking at it with names, Torrey Holt, you know what? I think Andre Johnson up before Holt. I'm going to go Johnson at 4.
Holt's been on the ballot longer.
Yeah, I think he can stay on there one more year. Yeah, I think there's too many of those guys. No, I'm going Johnson. Jared Allen's interesting.
He's an all-pro DN. Come on, man.
I know, but I'm thinking if I already got this many defenders, am I going again? Okay, I'm going to put him. I got 5, and then I need one more. Sam Mills, Seymour, Reggie Wayne. I'd have to look at Wayne's stats off the top of my head. I'll say Reggie Wayne, but I got to look at the stats to be honest.
All right, so here's my 6. So while you were like doing that, I can work out mine over here.
Right.
First of all, Sam Mills needs to be in. To me, that's no debate. The fact he's had to wait this long posthumously is kind of ridiculous, considering we live in a world where dudes get in for less than he did in his career. Because remember, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, not the NFL Hall of Fame, and Mills was a freak in the USFL before he got to the Saints and Panthers. So that's number 1. Number 2, considering I'm factoring in that they look at how long guys wait. So I'm going to say Torrey Holt is my number 2 guy I'm going to throw in there. Okay. And that's also the reason why I'm going to throw in there Tony Baselli, because we know the committee likes to try to balance out the card a little bit with guys who have waited versus guys who are new.
Right.
To me, Jared Allen is a Pro Football Hall of Famer no matter what. Look up his numbers. Go watch his tape if you don't remember him. Number 5 for me, I agree with DeMarcus Ware. He needs to get in as well.
Yeah, stud.
The 6th guy is where I'm having trouble.
Right.
Because to me, the conversation is between Rondé Barber, Reggie Wayne, and Seymour. Because am I going to put in 3 DNs in one class? Am I going to put in 2 wide receivers in one class?
Right.
Rondé Barber had a very good career, but not a legendary career. Like, for example, Ty Law had a legendary resume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When Darrelle Revis, that's a legendary resume. I feel like Barber is a degree below those guys. So do I think he'll get in the Hall of Fame one day? Yes. But will he get in this time? I'm having trouble with that.
Right. And maybe wait a bit. Yeah. You know what? You say the Sam Mills thing with the USFL. That's where I sort of had the disconnect of not working that in, because you're right. It is not the NFL Hall of Fame. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is why, let's say, a guy like Warren Moon, you're taking his CFL stats as well, right? Like big guys like that. So I'm with you with Sam Mills. You convinced me on that. And yeah, it's kind of weird because there's a couple, like, to me, like DeMarcus Ware and of course, Jared Allen get in there. But there's not necessarily that like, oh, Peyton Manning. Okay, duh. Right. Outside of those guys, there's no like no super obvious. We haven't talked about Devin Hester. The special teams side is always so interesting because there's one kicker, one punter or whatever, right?
Right.
And then you get those specialists where it's like, wow, like Hester was legit, like return man, my goodness. But is that enough to get put in? So that's interesting too, because I think for what he did, he was one of the best who ever did it. But is that enough to put him into the Hall of Fame? That's always an interesting discussion when you get into those specialists.
He's Andy McNamara. Follow him on Twitter at AndyMC81. Of course, we usually just talk football, but I wanted to throw in the Hall of Fame conversation.
I like that.
It's a fun conversation. It's a fun thing to do. New Year's is around the corner. Some people are already enjoying themselves. Let's have a little fun on a Thursday here on 97.3 ESPN.
I dig it, man. And you know what? I was at the Pro Football Hall of Fame this past October
Yes,
for our
you were.
UFFsports.com Legends League thing. And you know what the thing is? They did all these renovations, Josh, and I was so busy, I didn't even get to tour it. I booked the damn thing. I didn't even get to tour it. I got to go to the bathroom part, and I saw they renovated that, so that was fun. But they did so much. So yeah, this is the next phase, the next group that goes in. That's always very exciting. And really, like you said, the process that goes through to decide and talk. I've talked to a couple of guys too. Tony Grossi, who covers the Browns in Cleveland, he said, man, he's like, the ones you love it when there's a class of like sure things, like Peyton Manning is like a 4-second conversation. But he said other guys, you can have it where it's like an hour, and then you have debates, and it's like, and it's really back and forth. So it's a fascinating process.
Absolutely is. Andy, I appreciate you coming on all year. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you always working with me. Happy New Year, my friend. We'll talk on the other side. I'm sure we'll message before then, but again, appreciate you always coming on, man.
Oh, Josh, you being my bud, I love it. It's amazing coming on. Anytime you want to talk football or whatever, just let me know. Happy New Year, safe New Year to all the listeners, and appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
Andy, go drink a hot toddy.
I'm at just the toddy part, brother.
You're gonna go cold toddy? Is that what you're doing?
Total cold toddy on ice. Let's go. I'll see you later.
Take care, my friend.
See ya.
And of course, Andy McNamara's appearance here every Thursday on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by Jim Malamet at Green Tree Mortgage. Your best play to refinance today. That's Jim Malamet at Green Tree Mortgage. We'll wrap up the show. The final game night of 2021 wraps up on the other side. Sixers basketball, top of the hour. Tom McGinnis on the call here on 97.3 ESPN.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Difficult shot. It's up and good again. He's made 3 big shots down the stretch, and Embiid pours in the long two.
The Sixers are in Brooklyn to face the Nets. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
Check out FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Casino in Atlantic City. Bet all the action and style this football season at the state-of-the-art FanDuel Sportsbook just off the boardwalk at Bally's Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan. Looking for some holiday cash? Then don't miss Matt Blatt Nissan's holiday vehicle buyback. It doesn't matter what you drive. AJ the Trade Man wants to buy your vehicle today. Regardless of the make, miles, condition, or situation, AJ will buy your ride for cash today. That's right, AJ at Matt Blatt Nissan will buy your vehicle for cash today. Treat yourself to a brand new Nissan. Like Zip, zero, zilch, zero down, zero payments, zero interest on every new Matt Blatt Nissan. That's a brand new Nissan with 0% financing, zero payments for 90 days, and zero money down. And AJ says you'll get more cash than you think and drive away with peace of mind because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. MattBlattNissan.com. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. 0% APR financing based on $27.77 per thousand borrowed. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 1/5/2022. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Of course, let's not forget our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. Sponsors here on 97.3 ESPN. All right, FanDuel Sportsbook, retail sportsbook located around the boardwalk in Atlantic City at Bally's. 5 betting windows, a large video wall, sports ticker, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and various lounge seats. FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, my bet of the week, I already, I'll give you guys a little bit early sneak peek into this. The under in Arkansas, Penn State. 2 very underrated defenses and 2 very lackluster offense. Remember, no John Dotson for Penn State. I really like Michigan State to cover the -3.5 later today. And I like Alabama versus Georgia in the national championship game. Happy New Year, everybody.